beginning with the headliner, which presents your name and key contact information at the very top of your resume. The format you will follow is what we call frame the name, where the contact information is positioned against both margins. This alignment provides a visual image which allows the name to stand alone, to stand out. In other words, the contact information isn't competing with the name for attention. Your name should be at the top, centered on a single line, bold, a little larger font size. It should stand alone and stand out. We recommend that you use your informal name if that's what people call you, such as Jim instead of James or Liz instead of Elizabeth. Why? Think about it. Because you're trying to establish as quickly as possible an informal relationship. So if your formal name is Charles William Rockefeller IV, and you go by Chuck, put Chuck Rockefeller. But if you go by informal names such as Bubba, yeah, you might want to leave that to a little bit more formal name. Likewise, no need for initials or prefixes such as Mr. or Mrs. or Doctor, or suffixes like Junior, unless it is relevant, such as a relevant certification, CPA or CPM. Contact information. Typically 2 lines are all that is required. Don't overload contact information. Leave that for your business card. Resume should show just key contact information. So let's talk about what would go on the left and the center and on the right. On the left should be street address or post office box. Put your snail mail address on the left margin. You could use a post office box should you not want to reveal the street where you live. Center? Center tab should be your email address or your LinkedIn address. On the right side is your phones. The right tab to the right margin for your phone or phones labeled business and residence or office and home or mobile/cell. Usually the one on the top is the one most frequently called. And here's a hint. Leave a professional recorded message on your answering device. Best to do it daily. Never let a 24-hour period go without returning calls as well. Here's a simple example of how you might record something daily. This is John McDormand. Today is July 16th. I will be out of the office in the morning and back in the afternoon. Please leave your name and number and I will return your call. Something professional, simple, straightforward. Not too long because people hate waiting to leave a message. Next comes the marquee, which presents your focal point and a thumbnail sketch. The marquee begins with your focal point, which is centered, which is the job title of the position you are seeking. It's one line, it's centered, typically 1 to maybe 3 words. For example, Chief Financial Officer or IT Management. Apparently many of you are going after a position entitled Summary or Qualifications. These words are weaker than declaring what you're after. It is like saying, hey, I'm clueless about what job I'm competent to seek, let alone do. So read what follows and maybe you can figure out my life and guess what I should do for you. Go for it. Figure out your target and declare it. If you don't know your focal point, go back to session 2 and see if that helps. Otherwise, seek a mentor or professional help. Following the focal point is your thumbnail sketch, which previews your professional career and invites the reader to spend more time reading the rest of your resume. It should achieve the following 4 objectives. First, depth and breadth of experience, both in terms of the position you seek in the industry or types of businesses where you've worked. Depth suggests that you're no rookie. You are a seasoned pro. Show your maturity. For example, someone stating over 15 years of experience is addressing the depth issue. Breadth suggests that your experience covers a wide range, from soup to nuts, from womb to tomb. For example, someone stating worked in both private and public sectors is addressing the breadth issue. So first, depth and breadth of experience. Second objective, the level. Where are you in the food chain? You need to clearly indicate that you are a big fish in a big pond or a little pond, or you're a little fish in a big pond or little pond. You know, a CFO for a $20 million company may make $100K, but a CFO in a $20 billion company is going to make a heck of a lot more. You don't want to waste your time chasing opportunities that are too high or too low for you. That's why communicating your level without telling the bucks is so important. You can address this level issue in your thumbnail sketch as well as in your focal point. The third objective is personality or management style. Right here in the thumbnail sketch, you want them to get a glimpse of who you are, not just what you do. This objective relates to your people skills, your relationship dynamics. If you are a team player, put team player. It's as simple as that. Let them see your style of management or leadership of people. The fourth objective is the uniqueness of you. There are many resumes coming in the door, many folks just like you who have a good education and great experience. What sets you apart? What makes you in your life unique? What is your differentiation? For example, there was a small business CFO looking for a job. Asked what his uniqueness was, he said, computer geek. He reworded it a little in his thumbnail sketch and put computer wizard. And that got him the job because the president of the company who hired him was so fed up with the responsibility of dealing with computers, he was glad to have a computer wizard on board. Another example was there was a real estate developer who said his uniqueness was a passion for integrity. Well, that would set him apart in real estate or almost any business. But the good news is that anyone who said they were interested in him would also value a person of integrity. Thumbnail sketch is a maximum of 3 lines filled with short sight-bite phrases, not sentences. It's staccato in nature. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. That's the way your thumbnail sketch should sound. Moving down the resume, you next see the center stage, unless you choose the chronological resume, which doesn't have one. For the hierarchical resume, you can create 4 to 6 bullets, starting with one of your attributes, followed by supporting achievements. Again, there are 3-line maximums for each of these. In terms of formatting, you should set off your attribute in some way. For example, maybe use small caps and slightly indent the second and third lines of the text with a separation between bullets. For a functional resume, you can create a center stage with 4 to 6 bullets, starting with one of the job's major functions, followed by supporting achievements. Again, there's a 3-line maximum. For a technical resume, you can create a 4 to 6 bullet listing of the various platforms or tool sets in which you have experience, followed by specific names of products or packages. But be careful. You should have competencies with each item listing, not just some familiarity. Nothing's worse than being able to ask about your experience and you'll have to express it as just familiar as opposed to competent. Now let's look at presenting your work experience, which follows the marquee on a chronological resume or follows the center stage on the other types. But before we start, here's a question. How far back into your work experience do you need to go? Well, the answer is until you run out of space, which means if you run out of space, the last 10 to 15 years is all you really need. But if you have space, tell the whole story. Remember, as you go back in time, you need to report a little less detail than earlier and more recent work. For each company, starting with the most recent, you will present the company's name, the principal locations where you worked, the duration of how long you worked there, and a company byline. Company information includes a company line and the company byline. The company line includes, on a single line, the company name, typically left justified and formatted to be noticed, like maybe using larger font size or a different font or font style, like all caps or small caps. Usually the company name is immediately followed by the principal location of where you worked. But if you held different positions that took you to different locations, you would then place the locations next to the position title. Spell out the state. Don't use state abbreviations. Finally, the company line ends with the duration of your employment in years. No need for months. If you are still working and, this is a key, have not been told that you're going to be leaving, you should have your most current duration in with the word present. Otherwise, use the year. The company byline, typically slightly indented and usually a smaller font, includes a single line description of the company. What would the marketing people or investment relations folks say about a one-liner about the company? What we're trying to do here is let people know that you work for a great company. And by association, great people work with great companies. What can you tell them about the company? Well, describe the company's scope, size, status, or success. Scope of operations would be, whether they were regional, like Southwest, or global, like Far East. Size of operations could be measured by revenue or profit, for example, 24 million, right? Or maybe number of employees, like 2,500, or number of offices or plants or locations. Status of operations is whether it's a startup or a high growth or an established. Success of operations would be a ranking or rating. Ranking would be third largest. Rating would be top 10. Next, let's look at how to present information about the positions you held, which includes your job title or a list of titles and a position byline. In most situations, you just show a single job title on a single line, again slightly indented with some line separation. But there are exceptional conditions. For example, if you had multiple jobs, list them from highest ranking to lowest ranking, not necessarily in chronological order. by listing multiple positions in this order implies normal progress to the top job. How about multiple jobs in multiple locations? Show the location beside each job title rather than beside the company name. Well, here's a question. Should you put the duration of each job on the position line rather than on the company line? If each duration is 3 years or more, yes. But if only one is less than 3 years, then no. Achievements claimed during short durations are not given much credit. You might have inherited a great situation from your predecessor. By showing no dates on the position line, you get full credit. On the other hand, long durations with a single company are not viewed positively. By showing the dates on the position lines, it breaks up the long duration into shorter ones. Under each position line, you need a position byline, which describes what your roles and responsibilities were, basically a brief job description with some sense of scope and size of the job. If you are using the chronological resume style, you would follow the position byline with 2 to 5 bullets of your achievements while in that specific position. If you held multiple jobs that were significantly different, you may want to list one position line followed by its associated position byline, then list a second with a second, and so on. As you move further back into your work experience, you need to provide equal or preferably less detail in the position byline. Initially a maximum of 3 lines, then maybe 2, then 1. Finally, there are several items which may follow your work experience. These include your military experience, if applicable, your education and training, and your associations. Notice that military experience as well as education and training use the same formatting as work experience. If you served our country in the military, you should show the service branch, left justified, in which you served, for example, the U.S. Army Reserve, the principal location, and the date of discharge, right justified, all formatted similar to the company line. Slightly indented on the line below, you should show your highest rank, formatted similar to the position line. Likewise, for education and training, you should show the school you attended, location, and graduation date, all formatted similar to the company line, except you will only show the single year of graduation date. Slightly indented on the line below, you would show the degree you earned, spelled out like Bachelor of Science. Looks better than simply a BS degree. Formatted, again, similar to the position line. Now, many of you are concerned about revealing the truth about your graduation date. Make it real easy for hiring authorities to do the math, figure out just how old you are. You want them to know how mature you are. Why? Because you don't want to waste your time chasing an opportunity, getting your hopes up when they're going to eliminate you because of your age. You have to think clearly through this rationale. You believe, first off, that they have a bias against hiring someone with your level of experience and maturity, also known as age. So you think, if you leave off your graduation date from your resume, you'll fool them and get an interview. Don't you think when you show up, they're going to figure it out? In fact, when you leave your graduation date off your resumes, most hiring authorities will assume that you are so old that you are ashamed of just how old you are. You must be an ROF, a real old fogey. But your graduation date on your resume, let it serve you as a screening tool. Let it weed out all those who have a bias against you. So when someone calls and says they're interested in you, you know they value your maturity and wealth of experience you bring. What should you do if you don't have a degree or started but didn't finish? Best answer is to enroll in some career-relevant course so that you can tell hiring authorities that you value education and are in the process of continuing to improve. If you started a degree program, find out what it takes to complete it. You may choose to do that. Well, we finally made it. We are at the end of the resume, the last few items of importance. For some, you have worked hard to earn a professional designation or certification. For example, CPA, Certified Public Accountant, or PE, Professional Engineer. As more professionals are becoming certified, more employers are using certification as a cut criteria. If your certification is relevant to your focal point, like a CPA targeting a controller position, put the certification initials by your name on page 1 and spell it out following the education section on page 2. At the end of your resume, you can show 3 to 5 associations which demonstrate that your life outside the office as well as your commitment to develop both professionally and personally. Begin by showing your role, for example, president or member or past president. If you're not active, get active. Associations are a great place to network and to stay current. Professional and trade associations are great, but so are community, civic, or church, or other places of worship where you serve. Now again, many of you are asking, are you crazy? You want me to reveal my place of worship? No, we're not crazy. It's a good idea. It demonstrates your integrity, a key to building trust. Integrity comes from the same root word as integrated or integral. It means a oneness, a wholeness. Our beliefs, our faith is part of who we are, part of what we do. A person with strong faith is usually a person of strong character. A person who has weak faith should find a strong one to carry them through tough times. Some of you are still not convinced. You might ask, what if I say that I'm the leader on the council at the Jewish temple and they're anti-Semitic? Okay, let's think about this. Let's just take it off the resume and then you get hired and you can work for these stupid bigots. Does that make sense? Or you might say, what if I'm a deacon in the Baptist church and they all drink? Hey, they know you drink too. Do you know, I've done a study of all of this, but do you know how to stop a Baptist from drinking all your beer at a party? That's simple. Invite another Baptist. Maybe, do you know that Presbyterians are really Baptists who enjoy drinking but can't afford to be Episcopalians? Or maybe this, did you know how to tell the difference between a Baptist and a Methodist? Hey, the answer is a Methodist will wave to you when you're in a liquor store. Okay, one more. Lutherans will tell you that when 4 of them are gathered together, you can usually find a 5th. All right, enough of all this stuff. Let me wrap up and tell you that in our next time together, we will continue this 3-part mini-series on getting yourself properly packaged with session 4, which is entitled Communication Connection, How to Write Right. We'll be learning about cover letters and thank you notes and reference lists, as well as tips on how to write a better letter. But now, let me close by saying God has faith in you and what you can do for Him. Have faith in Him and what He has done, is doing, and will continue to do for you. Let's go to Him in a final word of prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, You have filled our lives with abundant living. It is so hard to pack our lives into 2 minutes or onto 2 pages. It is such a brief accounting. Your word tells us, however, that there is a book of life that simply records our name. If our name is there, we get the job of worshiping You in heaven after we have passed. There are some here who are listening to this tape that are not sure if they were to die, if their names would be in that book, if they would make it into heaven. Lord, my prayer for these who question is that You keep that question burning in their hearts and minds until they seek You and find the answer from Your living word. Now, blessed be all that listen. Godspeed in their search. In the name of the incarnate Word, Jesus Christ. Amen.